Join us for snack time. How old are we? I love snack time, nap time, snack time. Yeah, let's dive into it. I think that's really a lot of times when we're accessing higher levels of consciousness or spirituality, a lot of teachings is like you have to get somewhere, but then a lot of teachings and what we do is like it's not getting somewhere. It's like removing all the things that get in your way, all the limitations that get in your way so that you can access the divine. And so I think this is a fantastic topic today because to be honest, we can dive into all the systems that we get stuck in. Time, money limitations, right? Like those are all the 3D structures, but like how does that fit in with the divine, with what we're talking about? Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's unpack it.
I mean, I think one of the reasons I wanted to dive into this is I just started the book I Remember Union, which is by Flo Aviva. If you haven't read it yet, I highly recommend it. It's even just the first few pages, I'm getting goosebumps like all over the place. And so the premise of the book is channeling Mary Magdalene's experience with Jesus Christ and like bringing higher consciousness to the world at that time. And in the beginning parts of the book, it's like before they incarnated, them remembering their reason for incarnation and their purpose on Earth and what they're about to do when they go to Earth. And the book is talking about like, well, do you understand like the purpose of this? Do you understand like the bigger scheme, the grand plan, if you will? And then like Jesus is going back and forth in his head, like, well, will they know and I'll be alone and like I don't know. And then he's like surrendering to his greater purpose, and it's like, okay, like I know this is what I'm here to do. And then Judas is in there too, and one of the things about it was like Judas is the one that betrays Jesus, and Judas is like, well, I love him so much, I don't want to betray him, but it's really the person that I think the going back and forth in this conversation, it was like the person that loves him most is the one that needs to, because it can only be the one that loves him the most. And it was like, it made me want like,
you won't feel betrayed as much by a stranger.
Joe Blow. Yeah,
Joe Blow, stranger, right? Like Trump can do shit, but we're like, we don't feel as betrayed as like if it's our significant other.
Yeah, 100%. And so I don't know, that made me want to cry because it's like it's the soul that loves you most, and then like going through this journey, and the reason that Judas surrendered to it was like, oh, I'll find myself again. Like once I'm alone, like everyone's gonna turn on me, I'm gonna be alone, but I get to find myself again being alone. And then like that was part of his purpose and journey too, in like the betrayal. So it's just an interesting perspective going back to like the grand scheme and the design of it all. It's not just about like humans betraying each other and, you know, Jesus dying on a cross. It's like this bigger grand scheme of things to remember our higher level of consciousness, to remember our I am presence, to remember like the divinity that we have inside of all of it.
Yeah. And it's a fascinating, I think I read that book. It's probably 10 years ago now. So I love that you're bringing it up, but I do recommend I Remember Union by Flo Aviva. Actually, I got to do an interview with Flo Aviva, and she is renowned for being the clear channel and anchoring presence for Mary Magdalena energies. So I think she's since written another book. There might be one or two or three out there by now. And it is this amazing testament to a soul's journey as well. So that's what, and for those of you who maybe aren't Christian, you don't have to be, I wouldn't consider myself Christian. I consider myself Buddhist, Hindu, Christian, Jewish, like
all the religions.
Yeah. I'm like,
samesies.
Yeah. So you don't necessarily have to be, nor do you have to believe in any like religion to get into it. If you're spiritual of some sort, it's just a nice journey. I think, as you turn the pages, and for our listeners, one of the things that I do love about the journey is, what I took away from the book, and everybody will have different takeaways, but like Mary Magdalena was that steady presence with Jesus during the journey, and like knowing that humanity wasn't ready for a female or a woman to like give the journey to everybody. It like people would only listen to a man, and so it was like, okay, how do we access this higher conscious, this I am presence, this Christ conscious, like how do we access it? And like, what's possible when we, like, when you actually access it, you can heal and you can da-da-da-da. And it is like these premises are very much a foundation of the Beyond Human method, right? So being able to read this book, you're getting like, oh yeah, we all have access to these miracles and the magic. And that's what the journey was about. But Mary Magdalena's place with Jesus Cristo is that she was there as the anchoring force. Like when, he has doubts, or she was the anchoring presence. And I think that's a journey for a lot of women on the planet. And like, what does it look like now as we start to embark on more of a, as the patriarchy crumbles and I sense women are taking their place. We're now being heard. We're now creating that community. We're now like stepping up and rising into our divinity. And so, I think that conversation and that this book is ready. Like its time is now, So I love that you're reading that. Yay.
Yeah. Perfect timing. Well,
it's always perfect timing.
That's true. Well, I think it's a perfect conversation, and the way that we've described manifestation before is like a river. Like you're kind of waiting for the thing to be brought down the river. And I like that as a metaphor because it's not like you're trying to get somewhere or you're waiting a certain amount of time or you're having to do these things in order for the thing to manifest, but it's more like how quickly can you become that frequency? How quickly can you remove the blockages in the way of the thing coming to you? And so I sense that's similar to remembering our divinity, connecting with our divinities. Like how much can you remove the blockages that are in the way of accessing the divinity? It's not about like reaching it somewhere or getting somewhere, like you said, but like removing let's say it's like a river, like removing the rocks and the boulders and like the shit in the way of the river to like bring it.
Yeah, like if your river's all dammed up, a beaver got in there and dammed that motherfucker up. You got to like remove the dam, to let it flow. And I think that's mostly, we've all incarnated with this Christ consciousness, but we've also incarnated with karmas. We have a dharma pathway to get to where we want to go. We've got our blueprints. Like, what is it that we want to experience in this lifetime? And I think that's also in that snippet of what you shared, which is Judas's agreement with I just want to say Jesus Cristo, and with Jesus, like their agreement before they incarnated was, I love you so much and have such affinity, but part of our journey will be that I will betray you, and like that's the storyline. That is the blueprint that they incarnated with, and we all have some blueprint similar, and we all have agreements with other souls similarly, and so I think that's one of the key takeaways, because if you start to unpack that, you become less victim to whatever's happened in your life, because you take a step out and you look at like, what is my soul path and what is my soul journey and what am I here to learn? There's a book I've read to Cece a handful of times. I think it's called The Little Soul, or do you remember that one?
Yeah, I think it's The Little Soul.
Yeah, so we'll link it up, but it's like a great reading for kids, but also for adults. So adults should read it to kids.
I read it to Cece once, and I was like crying while I was reading. I was like, this is such a good book.
And it really is like souls being like, hey, I want to learn forgiveness in this lifetime. And what I need somebody to like really do me wrong, so like I can forgive you. And people are like, souls are like, okay, I don't know, and then one comes up and is like, I will totally do that for you. And you're like, you would be that mean? Sure, because I love you. And like you're reading and you're like, that's what the, and like the human brain will kind of like crash out a little bit because you're like, wait, what? But that's like, that is what it's like on a soul level. Like soul level doesn't have judgment like human has judgment. It's not bad and wrong. It's like, dude, all the experiences are cool, and like let's experience everything. And like all of us came to experience the fall of the patriarchy right now. And like, did we think it was gonna be fun? Like, what did we think that was gonna be like? You know, it was definitely gonna be life altering, but like, you know, and so I think that's where we gain greater wisdom when we can expand into not just stuck in the human. I want to feel good all the time, and anything that doesn't feel good is wrong. That's just human. You know, you go into soul level and you're like, everything's cool. And you're like, what the fuck? Really?
And I like how you say that souls don't have judgments or point of views about things, like whether something's good or bad or right or wrong. They're just like, I want to experience it. I want to experience all of it, whatever that looks like. And so if you're listening to this, if you're here on the planet right now, like, it's very probable that your soul said yes to like being part of the fall of the patriarchy and like being part of the planet right now and the crumbling.
It's like not just probable, it's like 100% guaranteed because you're here. Okay, bitches.
Here's your stamp of guarantee for you.
It's guaranteed that you wanted to be here at this time to watch the crumbling fall of the patriarchy, especially in the United States of America, because that's where it's really crumbling, that bullshit. And like, we wanted to experience the change and the shift because we are shifting into a matriarchal system. It is already starting to happen. It will uprise. You know, we have to do things in order to do that. And take actions and usher it in and honor our higher selves and honor the divine. Like, we have to do all of that as part of like the uprising, the rising up of it. So it takes something. But I think if you were like a soul before you incarnate and you were like, well, do I want to be just like ho hum? Like, you know, the 80s were fine. The 80s and 90s were fine, but like not much was happening. I mean, like the clothes were cool. There was a lot of happening, you know, like, but like what, my nose ringed out. But like what really was happening, you know, like what really was going on. And I feel like the collective souls were like, you know what? We need to shake this motherfucker up a little bit. It's kind of like if you're watching a movie, you're like, this is too flat. I need some drama. And you're like, okay, here's
how
the
many
drama.
people love drama shows, that Love Island thing that's like people are going crazy of. I don't watch it. I don't understand.
Like, there's enough drama in reality that I feel like reality TV is a little too much for me.
Yeah.
Anywho, yeah. But so it's like being able to see it from that perspective.
Yeah. So, like, our souls came in, we made these agreements to, like, be here at this time and experience everything that's happening right now, and then we forget. Like, we forget our divinity, we forget our higher consciousness, we forget the agreements that we made, and then we feel like we're at the effect of everything that's happening. We're like, fuck it, what is going on?
Yeah, this 3D reality is real funny. Makes us think real funny thoughts. Like, we're not in charge, we didn't create it, you know. Things like that.
But the things that get in the way. And so, like we said earlier, it's part of like removing all the blockages to remembering what that higher self is. So like being able to unpack, and I mean, we could say this a bunch of different ways, like escaping the matrix, something that you've said before, or like, I don't have any other metaphors right now, but being able to unpack like all the limitations and where they exist to then become closer to our divine selves and our divine souls and higher selves. Yeah. So like one of the
that's what I think is our goal.
Yeah.
That's also like my goal with clients, right? Remove all the blocks, live in your divinity, align, like love your life, experience the roller coaster, but also create some like badass shit.
Seems like a good deal. Better deal than just being at the effect of all of it. So one of the systems that like gets in the way of us remembering is patriarchy, because it's been around for so long. We did an episode on the history of it, but
yeah, it's so funny because it's like it gets in the way. It is like the main impediment. Right? It is the main impediment because everything under the patriarchal system literally doesn't work for anybody. So I haven't found one thing in the patriarchal system that works for everybody, right? And so when you start to look at every layer of patriarchy. And so you like you have to like go layer by 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 layer, you know what I mean? Like not one of those motherfucking layers works, right? And I think it's because it was built unconsciously. Like it was an unconscious framework in response to things that they like, that people don't like. I don't like this, so here's a response. I don't like this, here's a response. I don't like this, here's a response, right? And I think at the top of the patriarchal system is always control. Like, how do we control something? And so it's all these different ways to control people, resources, money, time. Like, it's all about control, because in the background is like scared of something. And when you're scared of something, then you're reacting. And so the reaction is control, you know, and none of that is divine. None of it is higher self. None of it is like resource fueled or intuitively fueled or higher self soul fueled or care for everybody fueled or flow of energy fueled or like tapped into the energetics of life fueled. Do you see what I mean? So like there's no bigger picture with that divinity. It's all just control.
I mean, just look at the gerrymandering happening in Texas right now. That's all based on fear. That's all based on fear.
Can we just say for a second too, like if Trump won the big contest in November and he was so sure about his results and he was so ahead of the game, which all that's not true, by the way. Why would he be so hell-bent on getting 5 more votes for Congress? Like, jigga what, mother?
Exactly.
You're like, you so didn't win. You so are out of control. People so don't like you. People so are like, your approval ratings are tanking. People who voted for you before are flipping more than ever before. But like, you didn't win the first, like you didn't win the second go round. Maybe you won the first go round. You didn't win the second go round. That one was cheating. So
the first go around, the popular vote was Hillary anyway. But anyway.
Yeah. Okay. So what else? Okay. Anyway, we digress. We're not going to talk. So, we can have a whole podcast segment on this one. I could pull out all the data, you guys. I could pull out the data. I could pull out all the new court cases. Okay, we're starting to wake up. I mean, we've been awake. I've been awake since November, but like some other people are starting to wake up. Okay, we're going to hit the bad game. Let's circle back. Okay, so gerrymandering, yes, control. Right?
Control and fear. Like they wouldn't feel like they would need to do that unless there was a fear of not winning the next election in some capacity.
Yeah, changing up laws, control over other people's, we'll say women's bodies, changing up things of that nature, how marriage should look, who should get married. That's all control based. So like definitely from the political structures. But, you know, money systems and time systems are also out to control people, how we relate to time and money. Like we don't relate to them as divine flow. So, you know, like literally everything about like your body, your weight, you look in the mirror. Okay. You have to control what your body looks like. I mean, not me, but like, you know, if you look in the mirror and you judge and then you're like, I have to go on a diet or I have to do that, like that's a control mechanism. So what we would call that is internalized misogyny. The patriarchal system is built to control. And then all of our internalized misogyny is like the talk in the head that most people are listening to is controlling then your reality. And so you're not freed up unless you either get rid of the chatter in the brain, just get rid of it, or break down all the systems of patriarchy within yourself and also all the internalized misogyny that you keep judging everything by.
I would also assert the patriarchy keeps us separated, especially women separated and individualized. Like, because we have internalized misogyny, then we judge other women, we expect other women to judge us, we're fearful of how other women will judge us. Like, if we're putting ourselves out on social media, or if we're like
Mhm.
going up to a stranger in public, we're like, oh, how are they going to judge me, or what are they
Yep.
going to say to me? So all of that, like fear of judgment or fear of repercussion, like if we connect with each other, like all
Mhm.
of that is based on patriarchy and fear and control, when in reality we're so much stronger in numbers. We're so much stronger when we're
Yeah.
in community, especially women in community, and how much we accomplish when we're in community together.
Well, if you just look at a matriarchal system, we would say focuses on, it's always like put children first.
Hmm.
Because women naturally and inherently, not how, again, the patriarchal system has trained us, but naturally inherently are always focused on children. So if you dive into your heart space and you're around kids, you're like, I want to take care of them. If you're like in your heart space, if you're in your logic brain, you're going to think other things. So inherently inside of matriarchal systems, families used to live together longer, or you would have communal families where everybody took care of and supported the children. And so what that did was, it was like, it's kind of like a handoff. It's like a tag, you're it, you know what I mean, kind of experience, which makes sense from an energetic standpoint. It makes sense on a lot of different levels because you have a contribution coming from multitude of women and or men inside of the system as well, instead of just one woman in the household needing to do it all. Part of this is also like consumerism and capitalism at the top of the structure really leans into like, everybody should own their own house. No, you shouldn't live with your family or your parents. That's like ixnay bad. And then and it's so crazy because like you could even think about this on like if you go really consumerism, you're like, so all of my neighbors all have lawnmowers. We only have lawns for literally 3 to 4 months, like 4 months a year, because we live up in the like snowy mountains. Okay. So we have lawns 4 months a year, but everybody's got to own their own instead of like one communal that we would all borrow.
Right.
That actually, like if you were going to use a logic system, that's more logical than like everybody get your own lawnmower, you know? And so it's like consumerism and capitalism of like, we all have to have our own. There is no communal, there is no sharing. Like, so from literally like things to people, the separation instead of the community. And like I took my daughter to like a indoor gym thing with my neighbors, and it was like the two moms of one set of the kids and then another mom of the other set of kids. So there's like, so we had four moms with five kids running around. And it was like, we were just like, let them run around. And like, I'm going to be outside. I'm going to be on call. And then they're like, we're getting food. I'm like, cool, whatevs. And then like one of them was like, told her kids 10 minutes. I was like, 10 minutes for everybody. And they were like, gosh, this is so easy.
Hmm.
Because if a dude's in there, it's like, well, I don't know. Maybe we should, well, I need to do. And it's like, there's like all this hoeing and humming and like focus on like whatever shit that dude, and you're just like, no, we're just like all in lockstep immediately.
Hmm.
And it was like, wow, that's so cool. And that's like the communal experience, right? Like, and that is also what's possible with matriarchal structures.
Hmm. And I sense we're coming back to that. Like, there are a lot of people that are forming, oh, what is it called? Like, the tiny house communities, the
Yeah. Or
off
like
grid.
just all women off grid communities, you know what I
Hmm.
mean? Or like, all women vacation homes in France, or like, you know, yeah, women are starting to get hip to this. And so that's what I mean is like the more that men continue to be icky, like that's my best, like, I don't know, just icky. They're just icky. The more that that just keeps blowing up in our society, in our faces, in our relationships. I
Hmm.
mean, really, like men are having wild temper tantrums in relationships right now. And like that whole structure is like just breaking out down and women are opting out. We're finding peace and we're finding resilience and we're finding uplifting um relationships inside of that communal zone, right?
Hmm. And part of that is being able to like see what's on the other side, see beyond the human limitations and the 3D limitations that we're in right now and be like, no, I want something different. No, I see something else as possible, and reconnecting to like our higher path and higher purpose and being like, okay, no, I can create something different outside of
Yeah.
this.
And building like really building the muscle of out creating what is currently in our face, right? So like for our listeners, one takeaway you could do right now is like, look, I'm assuming if you're listening to us, you don't like the current administration. I'm just gonna make that assumption. If you like the current administration, I commend you for listening to us today. I've attracted that before, and I'm like, how did that happen? I'm like, it's wild, but like, welcome to the wake up. If you're starting to sense like the current administration isn't all for one for all, or isn't doing us justice, or isn't taking care of us, you know, they are supposed to work for us. By the way, our tax-paying dollars pay for our governmental systems. If the government isn't like actually working for the people of the citizens of the United States, then we have an issue. And so we have a big issue. But instead of focusing on all the things that are wrong, which you want to be aware of, but you want to focus on what's the solution. I want to focus on what could be an outcome that could be better than I can imagine. Who do I want? Like, you know, I go to sleep at bed. At night, there's a bed. When I fall asleep, before I close my eyes, I set strong intentions for President Kamala Harris to be in office. That's what I do. And so like that will activate that future quicker. You know, so it's like what we focus on. So if we keep in the 3D world, keep focusing on that, then that's, you know, all the problems and issues and they plague and there's nothing I can do about it. Then that's what we're creating. So we have to shift that. Right. And I know that can be hard. So do what you can.
It makes me think of like all the people that wish for world peace. Like when you wish on birthday candles, I wish for world peace. When you go to bed and you're like, what do you wish for? I want world peace. Like, what if we all just wished for world peace and then this showed up and it was like, hey, here's all the things in the way of world peace. Here's all the things that we're hiding and the reasons that we can't have world peace right now. Here's 100%. What we can do about it.
100%. And here's the deal. Like, I mean, as a listener, I really want you to hear this, which is if Kamala Harris would have come into office, it would have felt good. And she definitely would have made some changes. But what would not have been illuminated is how many people are easily swayed by corporations, monetary incentives, by like how many people are in the pockets of Trump and the oligarchy. You know, I think Trump's just in a bunch of people's pockets, honestly. I don't think he's a mastermind. I don't think he's that smart. Like, I don't think he's got that, like, I think he's just like, they're like, here's a couple million, do what I say. And he's like, sure, no big deal. You know what I mean? So you're just like across the board, if you start looking at it as a chess game, you're like, wow, look at all the pieces on the board who have been bought, who are not operating with our best interest in mind. And so I don't think Trump's bringing it out of people. I think it's being illuminated in such a large way that it gives us something to go and, I don't want to say destroy, but like get rid of, eradicate. That's what I want to say. I don't want to say destroy, but eradicate, right? And like really go to work on and set systems in place, because I mean, he's real good at showing us all the holes in the system. That's for damn sure.
It's true.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what it's here for right now. That's what the era.
I mean, I think so. I 100% think so. We knew that the patriarchy was going to crumble. We knew all the systems, economic, political, healthcare, education, they were all going to crumble. We knew this. You know, there was 10 years ago, my guru said it, the astrologer said it, you know, like all across the board, it's been being said. And it's just kind of like, well, how did we think that was going to go down?
Yeah.
We thought they were all going to be like, you're right, I'm in the Epstein files, come arrest me. No.
Or like men would give their crowns over to the women and be like, here, have it. It's all good.
Yeah, they're like, oh my God, you're so brilliant. You should definitely run the country. Oh my God. No, they're going to cheat and lie and do whatever. Try to hold on. And it's so, but it's happening. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's really the point. It's like, it's happening. Like, so how do we be a part of that? Do you know what I mean? How do we align
Yeah.
in that?
100%. How do we align in that? How do we change that? How do we...
Which part? I mean, that's like a big question. How do you align? I mean, it's always thoughts, feelings, and actions in the future, in the matriarchy, in the divine. You know what I mean? In no separation, in limitless power, in no limitations, right? Like consistently. But I think what happens is the 3D feels so real that we get stuck. You know what I mean?
100%.
Ask me a more specific question. That was so broad. Come on, Ronnie buddy.
Well, you asked it. I was just turning it back on you.
I know I mean, that's like, so I have a course. How do you align in it? So I have a 12-month course because that one's a big fucking question. I don't think people on the podcast came for the 12-month course, though.
No,
let's make it smaller.
That's true. One step they could. Yeah, you mentioned like going to sleep and like envisioning, manifesting, like focusing on the vision.
Yeah, look, if you really want to align in the matriarchy, you want to align in the divine, your whole life has to be about the divine. So you have to give up, and this is a hard one. Give up that there are actually no problems. There's just creation.
Give up that there are problems.
Yeah, sorry. Thank you. Give up that there are problems. You just have to give that up. Like there's just creation. People are creating things. You're creating things. Like shift what you're creating. Shift what you're aligning in, and this comes up with like literally everything in your life. So if we're talking about like time, money, self-care, work schedules, what kind of work you're in. Like, are you aligned in the divine in those things? Or are you aligned in patriarchal problems, hustle culture, the 24-hour day, have to get it done, that ice baths are good, the ice baths aren't good for women, that, like there are so many things that you opt out one by one, and now you start to align more with the divine. So it's like your training ground to start opting out one by one.
Mm-hmm. And so let's open up, like when it comes to money, for example, like how the money limitations get in the way of us accessing more of our divinity.
Yeah, cool. Money doesn't work the way everybody thinks it does. So the patriarchal framework, so there's here's the fascinating thing. There are people who don't have money who will tell you they tell you I don't have money. Okay. So first is they don't have money. They tell you they don't have money. They tell you that they need to save. They tell you that debt is wrong. They tell you that they need to pay off their house and have no mortgage. They tell you they can't afford a house. Like that is the sea that they live in. Okay. Mm-hmm. You also have a group of people who are very wealthy. Okay. And the group of people that are very wealthy invest, they leverage debt to invest in themselves or invest in their growth or invest in their investments in general. They learn different ways to do business than the normal I don't have monies. And they look at money as a tool and they look at it as a flow. And a lot of the most wealthy people keep almost zero money in their bank account and just leverage all the other stuff. And so, the money game is completely different in these two realms. So I think first is like, if you want more money, it's not actually money. See, because these wealthy people don't have it's not $1 million sitting in a bank account. They don't have the money. Now, what they do have is they have investments and they have lots of experiences and they know what they want to invest in. They know what they want to experience. They like choose things of higher quality and higher caliber. And then more opportunities to shift money around is what they start doing. And so it's like a, are we playing chess again? Is it a chess game? Maybe. Could be chess. Everybody's playing chess on the bigger field, right? Mm-hmm. And then down here, it's just, I need to go to my job. I need to spend less money, right? So I'm spending less money so that I can pay for my living expenses, and maybe I can save a little. And if I save enough, then my bank account will tell me that I can spend something over here. And if I don't have it in the bank account, I can't do it. So inside of these two realities, like me just putting those two options in front of you as the listener's face, in your earbuds. Okay. So we have these two options. Which one do you think is more divine? Like one is controlling you and the other one is like, okay, but it's like, it's actually not money. It's like investments and moving shit around and making agreements and like pulling and like knowing what I want and desire and like, and did it, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's actually the wealthy have accessed something that the people who have no money, who keep perpetuating that story, are stuck in. Mm-hmm. So then the whole structure, patriarchy, capitalism, control, like it's all actually, you get stuck right there. And so what does it take to live in a whole new realm, to open up your eyes in a whole new way, to have access to the flow and the energy of money? Because money is just an energy. It's only dollars and bills because we say it's dollars and bills. But it's just energy. So it's an agreement.
Thanks so much for listening. If you resonated with anything we've said so far or had any new insights, chances are someone in your circle needs to hear this too. Think about that gal that's ready for her next breakthrough, to step more fully into her divine feminine. Take 10 seconds and share this episode with them. Your share could be the catalyst for her next transformation. You got your person? You sent it to them? Okay, cool. Let's get back to the episode. And I wonder too, when people say financial freedom, like some people will throw around financial freedom a lot as like a buzzword, but I feel like people have different definitions of it. Like for some people, it may mean like debt free and never having to worry about income because they have like a high yield savings account that's as much as their income or something like that. Where for other people, it may just mean I get to choose what I want whenever I want and create whatever I want. And it doesn't matter how or where the money comes from.
Yeah. Here's what's interesting about that. I think the people who use the term financial freedom are still in this lower field. Mm-hmm. I don't think wealthy up here play, invest, move shit around. I don't think they ever. And for those of you listening, I have my hand in one spot and my other hand above that. It's like trying to do a visual to listeners. How funny is that? Okay. So you have ultra wealthy don't care about financial freedom because they're actually playing chess all the time. Mm-hmm. Like they're just like moving shit around, and then they're like, because when you start to play in that reality, it's like, well, I could make more, I could have more. And when you have more, you're like, you know, if you're generous of heart, you're giving it back. Money's not going to change who you are, by the way. If you're generous of heart, you're going to give back and circulate it around and have different experiences. But it becomes about like creating in this reality. So the divine creates in this reality. Somebody was talking about being financially free is like, I want to stop working and I just want money. Like, I just want to be able to live off of what's there. And for me, I don't feel like that's creation. Mm-hmm. I feel that's like, oh, I got to the thing and now I'm done. Mm-hmm. And so I don't believe that that's actually divine, because divine creation, especially women, right? Like women, our womb space, we create life, but we create everything. We multiply everything. That is like our divine magic, right? It said like you give a woman a house, she'll make it a home. You give her love and compassion, she'll make you the happiest person ever. You give her criticism, she's going to make your life a living hell. Like just pick what you're giving the lady. You know what I mean? But like we're multipliers in the creation. And I think you see that when we tap into our natural birthright, our natural gifts, when women are freed up in that, you're like, oh, you create art. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen because like women pour into that. Oh, you're creating music. Oh my God, it's the most like beautiful song I've ever heard. Oh, you're creating education for the kiddos. Like, God, they're the smartest that they've ever been and so connected to humanity, you know? And so it's like, what is that? Like, I don't look at, you know, I talk about being retired, but I can't imagine ever not having these conversations with people. I just want you to take over. I want to train you so you know. There's like a legacy, you know what I mean? So I think like that's what I ultimately see. So when people are talking about financial freedom, I think they're playing like at maybe the top tier of the limited game versus jumping in to like a divine flow of money. Because the more that you learn to receive, the more that you learn to play with money, it's not so significant and you jump in that realm. Now the ceiling's off, the lid's off. What are you going to do next?
And so I think this is a great can of worms to open up, if you will, for like people who are feeling limited by money, who are feeling like, especially everything happening in the economy right now, like all of the judgments that get in the way of accessing more money and actually having freedom with money. Because when we look at, let's say, a more divine system when it comes to money, like you mentioned, I'll say like at present, the more divine system with money may be like just moving things around and being in the flow and being in the energy and not judging where it comes from, whether it's considered like debt versus investment versus cash versus whatever, like just being in the flow of all of that. But ultimately, if we look towards like a future vision of matriarchy and after building a new foundation from this crumbling, like what would you sense money would then look like? Do you sense it would be the same or something different?
Well, first and foremost, I think after the crumble, financial systems of money will look 180. Like, I don't even think I could put my thumb on what that could look like, right? But I think we'll have personal systems and structures. And then I think we're going to need different governmental structures. I think the pendulum, when this destruction via Taco completes, when Taco completes his path of destruction and we go back and rebuild, I think we're going to swing so far left that our social programs will be built up to protect and care for people. And that's what I mean. It's like more of a matriarchal system. And so the social systems will increase. My vision that I hold is like what Marianne Williamson said about, getting rid of the Department of War and having a Department of Peace. So like if we took all the money that we throw into tanks and guns and missiles and bomber planes and, billions and billions and like hundreds of billions of dollars, trillions of dollars, and you put that into peace and you put that into people, then we eradicate hunger, we eradicate homelessness, like very quickly done. Right? And that comes from the matriarchal system. When your basic needs are met and all of this inflation and craziness subsides, I think that's really when the whole will be able to start to access the divine even more and find their divine money flows even more and find a new way. But I also think energy is the primary currency that will come to fruition. So, I have something to give and somebody shows up to receive. Like this happened over the summer. I was like remodeling and I've got I got a refrigerator in my kitchen, you know, and then I get the refrigerator into the garage because I got a new refrigerator. And I'm like, the fuck do I do with this ginormous refrigerator? I mean, it works great, but like, I don't need it. And it's almost brand new, but like, I don't need it. And then I meet some amazing people, become like family friends almost. And the wife is like, our ice maker broke. And the girls were doing lemonade stand and the whole ice bin throws it. And she's like, oh, the ice, it's like gold. And I watched her face and I was like, well, I got a new fridge with an ice maker. Do you want my refrigerator? And they were like, how much? And I was like, no, take my refrigerator, please, take it. I would like it out of my garage. You know, coordinate the guy to come pick that motherfucker up. You know, and it was like perfect timing. So that's more of like the energy of like, I have a thing to give and somebody's there to receive. And like, you don't like, I think money starts to take kind of a backseat, or people start to access that more, if you will, where it's just shows up and did it, you know, that's my sense of where we would ultimately get to. And so, you know, you might notice that little by little.
And one thing that just popped into my head was right now we are moving toward like a trade and barter system where it's coming more to at the forefront, people who are using trade and barter. But if you have something going on about the value that you provide people and how much value it actually is or not, like it's not of value or you're not of value, if there's any like not enough in the field in that way, then it's not an equal energetic exchange either. Right. So I sense part of it moving toward that being a successful, because then it's based on like, oh, this is fair or this is not fair, and fair is all patriarchy as well. So my sense also in the new financial systems that we're moving to is a trade and barter system where potentially there's less like fairness and some like more level of like like on the other side of the value that we assign.
Let me give you an example. Okay, so let's add in a little oneness consciousness into the conversation. Okay, so if we're looking at like a trade barter system, what we're looking at is like, okay, I'm going to give you a refrigerator. What are you going to give me in return? What I do is I'm like, I'm giving you the refrigerator and let me trust everything works out. It's all good. I'm cared for. Okay. I just happen to have a refrigerator when you need a refrigerator. Right. Or like that one story I think I told on the other one, which was like buying the beds at the Big Lots or whatever. Right. It was like, I was there when single mom with kids needed beds. So I'm just going to like do it. Right. I know that shit is going to come back to me. And it's like the trust that it's going to come back to me tenfold. That's the energy. Like I just live like that. I'm like, I'm not looking to like, what is the lady going to give me? What is the people I gave the fridge to? What are they going to get? Like, I got nothing going on about it. And so that's like into the collective. I'm giving that into the collective. And I know that the collective is going to care for me back. So I don't have any like antsy, like, it's a full trust and surrender because the divine fully trusts and surrenders. And so I know that's a few leaps maybe from where our listeners are at, but that's like ultimately, you know, where I could sense there is to get to.
Like it doesn't have to come from this person that you're giving the fridge to. It could come from anywhere and you're just trusting that you'll continue to be taken care of and what you need will show up when you need it.
100%.
I like that.
That's now connecting it to the divine oneness consciousness collective versus the individual pressure of the exchange. Right.
I like that much better.
Yeah.
And I think where we've been operating from for so long has been time and money are the most important things that we hold dear to us as I wouldn't say dear to us, but like the most important things we value as humans. We value our time, we value our money and where we spend it and how we spend it. And when it comes to making choices and decisions, it's ultimately, do I have the time or do I have the money to do that? If we don't do something, it's ultimately because I don't have the time or I don't have the money to do it, right? So if we're looking from a more divine standpoint, how would we then make decisions? Like, if we're moving into more of our divinity, what does that actually look like?
I mean, you would use your intuition, you would trust, and then you would take action. Which module is that? Is that the trust module?
Yes.
See, it's all in the program. Yeah, like that really is the foundational principle. Is something aligned? Yes. Do I trust myself? Do I trust the execution? Do I trust it's all going to work out? Do I, trust? Yes. Am I surrendering to the flow? Yes. Great. Take action. Fuck it. Do you know what I mean? Like, and you don't have to stress in the action, right? So that showed up with Cece and the flight, right? So for those of you who don't know, Cece went and stayed with my sister, Ronnie Bonnie, for
Cece, your daughter.
My daughter.
9-year-old.
She's 9. She flew to Florida by herself. This was the second trip she flew to Florida by herself. Second trip to go do Disney World with Auntie Ronnie. And it was a little like, all of a sudden it was like, it's too long and I'm having trouble sleeping. And, can I come home a day early? And the first thing that I think there's like the first thought of like, does she really need to come home a day early? Like, that's the first thing. It's like, does she need to come home a day early? And so we were kind of vetting that, like, because you want to stretch your kids and you want to like build confidence and, there's all these things that you want to build inside of these. But at the same time, so we presented a lot of different options. Like, you could stay an extra day. You could go shopping spree with Auntie Ronnie. You could go to the movie theater. Like, you could do some fun stuff that you can't do up here in the mountains, And then there was the mental breakdown that the child had with Auntie Ronnie, because now there's too many choices instead of just coming home. And the kiddo still chose to come home. And then there's like, Auntie Ronnie's like, but is she like not happy with me? And I was like, oh, good Lord. Okay. No, that's not it. Okay. So, it's 9 and dealing with missing mommy shit and stuff like that. So we work all that out. And I book a ticket for her to come home a day early, right? Which costs something. But at the same time, I was like, that's what the kid wants. That's what we're doing. And Ronnie and I talked as soon as Cece like boarded the plane. And I told Ronnie, I was like, look, because bless her heart, she was a little sad. She's, I was like, this is how intuition also works. This is how divine flow works. Like, I trust that her coming home a day early was divine timing, and maybe she missed out on something that would have happened on the plane. Like, I am full in, like, it was so strong for her to come home. Like, I'm just going to honor it because that's what I do. Of course, we had to like confirm everything else in the whole situation was, good to go. And then what happened, Ronnie?
I saw on TikTok that the day she would have flown home, there was a big storm at the airport and all the flights were delayed by like hours.
Now, if I was making a decision based off money, I would have said just keep her there, right? So, or our time, everybody's time, because we had to change her dad's schedule, your schedule, like everybody's schedule had to get changed for this day home trip, because this is like unaccompanied minors. And so you don't just like drop them at the door of the whole airport. You got to like walk them in, stay with them, watch the plane take off. Like, it is a big to do for the unaccompanied minors. And so, if I was making a decision based off money, I would have said, no, just stay there, which would have caused heartache for her, challenge for her. You probably would have felt way worse, trust me, like,
yeah,
making her stay, and then to go to then if there was delayed flights, that would have fucked the whole day up on Tuesday.
Oh, yeah.
And that's even harder, like having and I would have, I would have been stressed. Brian would have been, we live in the mountains. We got to drive an hour and a half to even get to the airport, like it's a big to do. And it's 3 hours round trip each time we go to the airport. So you just go like, that would have been way worse. So it's just, what's the alignment, right? I checked it out. I had a couple conversations. Okay, this is actually the alignment now, because it changes. And then what am I surrendering to? I'll say yes and here's your credit card. And then, take the action. And everybody took the action, right? And so that's actually what it looks like in real time. And I'm not upset. Like, I wasn't upset. I'm not upset about money. I'm not upset about points. I'm not upset about anything. I'm not upset. Like, this is what there is to do. I am for sure way more grateful that she came home on that Monday than anything else. She exercised her voice. She exercised her right to change her mind. We all rallied. She knows that everybody's there for her if it's like not going well. And we bypassed whatever fucking situation that would have been on Tuesday. So kudos to all of us.
Good for us for handling that so well.
Cheers.
Cheers. Well, I think that's a great example for making decisions based on what's aligned, not based off of time or money concerns.
Yeah. And it's a small one, but those can happen all day long.
Yeah, 100%. Well, is there anything else you would leave our listeners as they are looking to make more decisions based on their divinity, accessing more of their divinity, leaving behind the 3D limitations of time, money, patriarchy concerns?
I mean, I think this comes into more consciousness, more awareness, right? So why do I do what I'm doing? Why am I saying what I'm saying? Why do I feel obligated to this thing? Why is this happening? You know what I mean? And so I just, by the way, if y'all aren't on TikTok, that's like Ronnie and I's favorite platform. We're always spouting off some good shit over there. So join us over there for sure. But, I just was doing one where I'm like, wow, men set the standards. And I'm like, everywhere. Like, the male is the standard. And like, why is that? And how have I been part of that? And how do I not want to be part of that? And like, how do we speak up about that? And how do we change it? Like, because that's part of patriarchy, but that's just consciousness and awareness. And I'm looking at why we do things, whether it's trying to adhere to a 24-hour schedule every single day, when women are literally wired for a flow of all the seasons in 28 days. It's like, why? So questioning those things and changing those things and bringing consciousness to those things with you, with your significant others, with your friends, with your family, with your work structures, with your kids, because that's really what's going to change it, is like all of us being like, oh, that shit came from the patriarchy. Let's not do that shit no more, And I think all of those little changes will also make the big changes. Like, my daughter's in online school. Welcome to the first week of online school. Holy motherfucking shit. And like, for me, like, the whole school structure and how the principal ran things and all of those weren't aligned. And now I'm like, oh, I'm present to like, oh, we're in our divine flow now. I'm teaching her divine flow. I'm teaching her, how her schedule can be when it's not so rigid. She gets to eat when she's hungry, not when it's like out of scheduled time and shove the food down to get back to class, and so there's all these things that like are, it's like, if we have a rough day, we might take a bath at 3:30 because that's when I take a bath at 3:30 in the afternoon. Like, now she gets to do that. And so it's like, we get to find that divine flow together, and I get to like gift that to her for her future. So I think it's just like the awareness, the asking of questions, the questioning the framework of like why we do things.
Yeah, I think that's a great place to start. And I like how you're saying questioning it and bringing it to the forefront with friends and family and relatives and people that you talk to, because that's what's going to have the ripple effect happen too. Like, not just doing it all on our own journey. That's patriarchy too, the individualisms. And so being able to bring it into the question, not just being at, what's it called? Autopilot, being on autopilot with the systems, but questioning the systems that we're in.
Yeah. 100%. So consciousness, awareness, action. So always laced with action.
Well, with that, we will go ahead and close out the episode today. Tamara, thank you for being on with me. Listeners, thanks for being on with us and staying till the end. We will see you all next week. Keep making magic, y'all. Thanks so much for tuning in. We are so grateful you'd spend time with us, shifting your perspective and expanding your divine feminine power. If today's conversation resonated with you, help us grow. Rate the show, subscribe, and keep following for more. And remember, we are here every Tuesday with new episodes. But until then, you can uncover your divine feminine expression with our Divine Feminine Archetype Quiz. Discover the blocks keeping you from accessing your divinity and get a step-by-step pathway to embody your authentic expression. And if you're looking to take your divine feminine journey to the next level, join our community and get access to our free 20-day meditation series. Start with just 5 minutes and increase by 1 minute every day to expand your divine capacities. Link is in the description. Until next time, keep honoring your divine feminine magic.